everyone. This is Kim welcoming you to this week's episode of Music in the Minor League. This week we're joined by our friend Cheryl Cawood. Cheryl got her start playing in bands in Kentucky and has since moved down to the Galveston area. She's become a fixture in our music community and someone you always see around town. She's also the first person to listen to our intro and hit us up about being on the show. Follow her example and let us know if you'd like to be a guest. Before we start, got a few housekeeping items and updates on the band to get out of the way. First, if you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast and then tell a friend about it. That's the best way to help us grow our audience, and it gives the artists the exposure that they deserve. Second, if you like the bands we're talking to or talking about, then go follow them on your streaming network of choice and tell others about the music. That really helps them with finding new venues to play and reaching new audiences. Finally, we have some shows coming up. This Friday, we'll be doing a So Far Sound show at Decant Winery in the Garden Oaks area of Houston. This location just got announced, so we can let you know about it. We'll be playing with Laura Jean Pearson and Booster. Next weekend, we'll be heading up to Nacogdoches for a show at Fredonia Brewing. We'll be playing 6 to 9 p.m., and we're looking forward to that show as it will be our first time in Nacogdoches. We'll be heading out on tour in April, but first, we'll be doing a hometown kickoff show at Dan Electro's. Our home base is back, and we're excited to be playing with our friends Grifters and Shills. Starts at 8 p.m., so mark your calendar. Finally, we're going to be on tour. All these dates will be with Grifters and Shills. We'll be heading to the Hunt Club in Tulsa, Oklahoma on April 13th. We'll be at the Brick in Kansas City, Missouri on April 14th. That show will include Johnny Lawhorn of Pentagram String Band. And then it's on to AM/PM Bar in Fayetteville, Arkansas for the 15th. And we'll close it out with Frankie's OKC on the 16th. And that show will include Rachel Lynch and Griffin Wade. Now we're going to kick it off with Cheryl's song, Deep in Your Bones. We hope you enjoy the episode.
You found me buried by the old courthouse. My frame was worn and tattered. I've been laying there many years waiting for you to discover. They put me down in that dirt poor town, telling tales about a bad girl. Don't look at me seeking vanity. I am a broken mirror. When you were born, I was torn. There was no connection. I couldn't stand on my own, let alone stand my own reflection. Was it fair to leave you lying there to find your own salvation? Don't look at me seeking vanity. I am a broken mirror. Deep down in your bones, that's where my memories settle. Deep down in your bones, where the pain will never lose hold. A daughter without mother's love is broken more than little. You feel shattered deep down in your bones. We lived across from the railroad yard near the Skidmore Hollow. Had a plan to get a rich man, get my ticket out. A pretty girl in miner's world, it was a life I couldn't handle. Don't look at me seeking vanity. I am a broken mirror. You didn't notice that tiny crack it ran smack down my middle. 7 years of bad luck, I was stuck, my life in shambles. There were big mistakes and cold heartaches. Lord, my life was tangled. Don't look at me seeking vanity. I am a broken mirror. Deep down in your bones, that's where my memories settle. Deep down in your bones, where the pain will never lose hold. A daughter without a mother's love is broken more than a little. You feel shattered deep down in your bones. You feel shattered deep down in your bones.
All right, man. Welcome to another episode. We're here today with Cheryl Cawood, who came all the way up from Galveston to talk to us. So, Cheryl, thank you for coming out.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
So, over the last few years, we've gotten to know Cheryl just playing around Galveston. And, you know, you had, Kicking It Dixie, and then now you got Cheryl Cawood Band. And what else are you up to these days?
We just changed the name of the band again. You know how these things go.
Oh, yeah,
so
totally.
with COVID, I lost the Cheryl Cawood and Company thing, blah, blah. So the start over, because I was fortunate enough to have Billy Wells join my group. So it's now Cawood, Little, and Wells.
Nice.
And the Little is David Little.
That works good, though. You know,
Yeah.
everyone's name in there, and it's a good, it's always the good, got Crosby, Stills, and Nash,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nice.
I'm happy with it. We're all happy with it.
Very cool.
Anderson,
I'm very
Whitman, Howe.
excited about it, actually. It's coming together fantastic.
So, what are you playing with that band?
We have several dates on the books right now, and I have a whole plan together. We have a whole plan together. We just got picked up by WSR Management Group, and so we're going to be focusing on my tunes, the originals. Billy also is a songwriter, so he's got a new album coming out this year. So we're going to focus on the Americana and country, and then whatever else we have cover-wise around it, because we're still doing cover gigs locally, but we're shooting at going regional, hopefully, by the end of the year.
See, right on.
Nice.
Yes.
Great.
I know, I'm so excited.
So that's a good time to talk
So
to you
very
about
excited.
this. So to go back, I know we're just going to go way back for a minute. Because we normally try to ask people, what led them to, for you, you've been doing music for a long time. I know you started in Kentucky even, playing, and you played bass and guitar and all sorts of things over the years, which is cool. So I guess at what age, how did you end up playing music?
I don't really have a memory of it not being there. I remember me and my brother working up Ticket to Ride with my mother's roasting pan for the drums and a record rack. We were stretching rubber bands on things, and we both were singing, and putting on neighborhood shows. But I don't really have a memory of wanting to do it and doing it, even if I had an instrument or not, of it not being there.
So just since you were little, was your family musical? Or?
I didn't realize that they were until my brother got a guitar for Christmas, and my dad picked it up one day and he played G chord, C chord. I'm like, Dad, what? And he said, oh, yeah, because he was older than my mother, so my grandparents were much older, so they weren't playing music on the porch when we were kids. But yeah, my grandmother would make a Sunday supper. This is down in the mountains in Harlan County, Kentucky, and all the people would come over, and they had the banjos and the fiddles on the porch doing the music. I'm like, geez, no wonder I'm bitten like a crazy person here. So most of my brothers play too.
Oh, wow. So,
Yeah.
So that's like
One
a
of my
whole
brothers,
family.
Jeff Cawood, we were in a band together for a couple of years in the late 80s and early 90s.
I guess music style-wise, you say Ticket to Ride was always, when y'all started out, were y'all doing anything like bluegrass? Were y'all doing stuff like, classic rock? I mean,
Well, since my family's from down there in the mountains, we watched the Midwestern Hayride every Saturday night. So I knew I could twang from an early age.
Right.
No, it's true. He's laughing at me. And my mother listened to AM radio. Of course, there wasn't really FM then. So she was listening to Jerry Lee Lewis and Elvis and whatever. So that's what the music was in our house, from country, real old country and Minnie
Yeah.
Pearl and all that stuff to whatever was popular pop music on AM radio. So I wasn't exposed to blues or jazz unless it was in a movie or something. I mean, not in my home.
That's cool. So you just interesting that was like, think about times when it was a family, like entire family together, listen to things,
Yeah.
Most of us, like me, my mom was working like 3 jobs. It wasn't a lot of times we were like, dude, we're going to listen to this together.
I would listen with my dad in the truck. Like we'd be driving somewhere. We didn't have conversations. He would just crank like AC/DC or The Who. And it was like that's what we did. It was a bonding experience. And so those songs are like kind of like that genetic DNA of my musical endeavors. It's so weird.
I love that.
It's just whatever, because we didn't do the whole porch thing, which I wish we would have. That'd been so awesome. But growing up in Texas City, we didn't really have porches, and you didn't want to be outside much.
Right. You started out, so I know, like I said, I've always associate things. Like I've seen pictures of you playing bass in the old days, and I know you play upright, which is always impressive. But I mean, did you always grow up as a multi-instrumentalist, or was it something that you moved to guitar?
I was in the school band, and again, my brother got a guitar for Christmas, so I took it and I learned to play it before he did. But he learned to play too.
Well, that's a great motivator.
He learns parts of songs.
My sister
They're real
took my
good
guitar.
parts.
He learned it out of spite.
And plus, it's good to have your sibling push you, man, because that was my brother and I started learning instruments about the same time. So it was always easier to go like, hey, man, I figured this out, and show each other. And
Yeah.
so it was really cool. Then
Well, here was the thing. Everybody played acoustic guitar. The neighborhood kids, too. We would go in the park and build a campfire and, Neil Young doing, hey,
Right.
look at this part on Cinnamon Girl, la la. So that's why I switched to bass. Everybody played guitar,
So just like, hey, there's something I can do that's different.
That's
than everybody
smart.
else.
It keeps you
And
viable.
then, you always have a gig
Yeah.
then. 'Cause it's
Exactly.
like,
Somebody told me that at the very first open mic I ever went to, the place was packed for whatever reason, and I brought my high school flute with me. Of course, I played Can't You See?
yeah.
Yes. That's awesome.
But the faces were right here, screaming, and I was like, bit like something else, And this old man steel guitar player was there. He was in the house band, and he said, you, come here. He said, chick singers are a dime a dozen. He said, if you were to play bass, you would never be without work. Went to the pawn shop, got me one. Oh yeah. I had to wrap the copper wire around my pinky so I wouldn't get shocked. The string stuck way off of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I learned to play that sucker.
Wow.
So that's right on. Because it is one of those instruments that, everybody, pretty much anything that's not guitar, drummers never have a hard time finding a gig. Talk about a pedal steel player. Pedal steel players like name their price every night of the week.
Right.
True.
It's
yeah.
like, we'll give you this. I mean, I've had friends who gave the entire paycheck for the night to the dude they hired for pedal steel. It's like, we just want you to come play. Like, it'll really pull this together for the show. So please come and play pedal steel for our song. So I guess, what year did you move down here?
I've been here for 13 plus years. I came in August 2009, and work is what brought me here. So I had a job lined up at UTMB. I don't know if I'm pointing the right way.
Close enough.
In Galveston. So I was excited to come down for that. And then to find out what a wonderful music scene was here. Wow. I was really surprised. I wasn't anticipating it being this wonderful.
Yeah, because it is kind of a weird thing, especially around Galveston. You've always had the old quarter where, back in the old days, Rex just always had the door open. Even if there wasn't a band, it's like, the stage is right there.
Right.
You could always just show up and play. And there's always kind of like pickup gigs going on around town. A lot of open mics, a lot of things like that. So yeah, it had to be kind of cool to walk into. It was kind of like not missing a beat from Kentucky, I imagine.
Yeah, and then finding out that, the water goes all the way up the ship channel into Houston and that the music goes on here easily 9 months out of the year.
Yeah.
It's definitely different than the Cincinnati area.
Oh, yeah, I bet it is.
Yeah,
Just a little bit.
It's a really, really, to me, and it's close to Austin. I mean, I was just really thrilled with the music scene here. And then when I found the songwriting folks and started connecting with that stuff, whew.
There's a good community of that around here as well.
Say it again.
There's a good community of songwriters around here as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Really, really nice, supportive, I find.
Yes.
Welcoming and supportive.
And sometimes
a lot of
you'll
that goes to the old quarter, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people around here, you don't find a lot of the you hear from other places, like even knowing people around Austin and hear, horror stories about Nashville and stuff where it's like, it's kind of cutthroat.
Cutthroat. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of backbiting.
Yeah, one of my favorite, I interviewed Billy Joe Shaver years ago, and he was talking about, they played a show at some showcase in Nashville, and he's like, yeah, his son Eddie left his guitar on stage. It's like, we got up there, started in front of these label people. He goes, Eddie strummed it and all 6 strings snapped. He's like, that doesn't happen accidentally.
Nope.
And he was just like,
oh my
he goes,
God.
that's the kind of place Nashville is. And I was like, no kidding.
Wow. Dang.
And he was like,
out-of-towners not welcome.
Right, yeah, exactly. Go back to Texas. But yeah, so you don't have that here. Everybody's kind of pretty supportive. I think everybody's of the idea that, all boats rise as the water does.
Very cool.
It's a good Galveston
That's a
ocean.
really, did you just come up with that?
No, I think
I was going to say, I was like really impressed. I was
You know
like,
he's from the
whoa.
beach, right?
I'm a coastal man. Lived out here on the water my whole life.
On the what?
That's always, I used to make fun of people about how people in Philadelphia say water. So, and then, you start doing something to make fun of people and then it sticks. And
Yep.
it's like, great.
It's like when your mom tells you your face is going to stay like that.
Yeah.
And then it does. You're like, oh.
One of those wonderful smart ass things that just like, great, that stuck. Right. I used to make fun of my kids and, from the South Park episode, every time I cough now I go brr, 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 at the end. And it's just all these terrible things I picked up from just being a pain in the ass to people around me.
Basically, you're just saying is don't be a jerk.
And that follows exactly. You don't want to be a jerk because no one likes the jerk and it makes for a bad music scene.
Exactly.
Or you start saying stupid words all the time. So, that goes a long way.
So, what was the first band you played in?
Let me think here. Goodness. I think I had multiple things going on like simultaneously.
That's awesome.
I mean,
You're not a
Yeah.
one-band person. I see how it is. You like to play the field.
It's okay.
yes, I was going to use the word that rhymes with or, but floor.
Exactly.
There's a lot of those. I've played bands, a lot of where it's like, oh, I can't do this show because I'm playing this band here. And it's like, okay.
Yep.
My uncle-in-law was a songwriter, but he didn't write the music. He just wrote the words. And one of the very first things I did was he said, if you write the music, I'll take you in the studio and we'll cut a record.
Oh, wow.
Well, heck yeah. So, and I wasn't writing a lot at the time. I dabbled. I wasn't as serious about it as I am now. Mm-hmm. But boy, was that fun. We had a little 45.
That is cool.
So we formed a band with the group that went into the studio. That was one of the early things.
Okay.
Right on. So growing up playing, I guess, when was it that you decided you started writing songs? Was it pretty early on or later?
I actually didn't get in my first band until my youngest daughter was probably when she was in kindergarten, and they were all in school. And so I was probably still in my early 20s, maybe. I got married young. And I decided I wanted to get in a band. I had no clue how to do it. What do you do? So a friend of mine said, well, I know a couple of guys in a local band. So I called one of them up cold,
Cold call them, yes.
Yeah. Hey, how do you get in a band? I want to play bass in a band. So he hooked me up with, this was after the record thing and all that later. So he hooked me up with the band. We were called Outlander. And we were gigging around and, Southern rock and a little bit of country, a little bit of 50s stuff like that. And I'm still friends with the guy I called that day. Who I was calling his roommate. And he answered. His name was Rick Jacobs, if you're listening. And I was calling Brian. And Brian wasn't home. So Rick invited me to his gig that night. And I am still friends with those guys from all those years ago. I know.
Come hang out. We'll find you a band.
You're a bass player. You'll find a band.
It was great. So both of them came in where I was playing one night after, the band is going and they went, you come here. They said, you didn't tell us you could sing. I just needed to get comfortable playing in a band. You know?
And plus, playing bass and singing is a little more difficult, at least for me, than playing guitar and singing.
Definitely.
So it takes a minute to get comfortable enough on the bass lines to start singing.
Well, bass players who sing are impressive just because it's such a hard...
It's that hump thing. You hear about that. You get to and mine was, I was playing Emmylou Harris. It was a Teenage Wedding. What's the name of that song? Da 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 da. And that bass travels in that.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I could play and sing at the same time. It was only 2 chords. C'est la vie.
Yeah.
C'est la vie. Yes, and I could get that bass and sing it at the same time, and I was like, ah! So that was the
moment.
Yes.
Right. That's not even like, well, I mean, it's not a lot of chord, but it's a shuffle bass, so you're moving a lot.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. I'm always impressed by people who can play and sing at the same time.
Well, especially after talking to Rebecca from Grifters and Chills. I mean, she even said, she goes, there are some songs you just can't play. Well, she plays bass, and I guess it's because it has to be so syncopated, and stuff like that. So, yeah, like when you can pull it off, it's impressive.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're playing things that are off time of the vocal.
Right.
So that's what makes it difficult. It's like guitar, you're just like strum. There you're like kind of like do. You're trying to keep the groove and sing the melody.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're completely conflicting, so that's what makes it.
I don't choose those songs.
Avoids it. I'm not singing that one.
I don't consider myself a bassist. I do enough to get by. And on the upright, it's just really fun with the rockabilly stuff and those kind of tunes that are moving like that. But I'm not like this slap thing or standing on it. I mean,
we're not going to see standing on the side of it with like Jimbo does from Reverend Horton Heat. Like, come on.
No.
Right.
I'm trying. I can't spin it yet. I'll get there.
That happens.
It's a lot of fun,
That's
though.
passe. I mean, everyone stands on it. Cheryl's tasteful.
Right, exactly. She's
There you
refined.
go.
Refined is the
There
word we're
you
looking
go.
for.
I like that.
Man, you're bassists that know how to stay in the pocket and stuff and not get all crazy. Or that's all I always did. I preferred that rather than just because so many times you hear bands with bass players like, and it's
Too
kind of
much.
taking away from
Way too
everything.
much.
Yes.
It's like you're not the lead guitar player, dude. Hold back.
Right. You're missing a couple strings for that, bud.
And you're cutting through the mix more than the guitar, so it's just really distracting.
Right.
Like, please don't.
Stay in your lane, bud.
So that's kind of what I was getting at. What was the songwriting bug bit you?
When I got to Texas, I don't know what happened. The floodgates opened, and maybe it's because I'm away from my family and friends, and I've lived in that area my whole entire life. And, my family was like, "You're doing what?" "I'm moving to Texas. I'm going on an adventure."
Oh, wow. So you literally had been at the same Oh, I didn't
Yes.
know that. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. Boom.
Just I'm going to Texas. There's something about it.
Yeah. I had met some people in a work conference in San Antonio, and they said, "We need to get you to Texas, blah, blah." And a job came up, and all this stuff in my life was kind of crazy. And I said, "You know what? I've never done anything like this in my life. I'm going to do it."
Man, that's impressive.
So I did it, and for some reason, and they're still in there, there's still all these songs that are still coming out. Maybe I was just so busy there and here I'll always be busy. Something goes, something else gets in there.
Right.
But
you first
the
came here.
songwriting is one of the things that's in there, though, at the moment.
Yeah, you have that where you don't know a lot of people when you first move here. So you have that time where you're more inside your head. You have more time to think and be alone and with your own thoughts. And it's kind of like, oh, okay.
So songwriting,
deal.
you're right. It's a kind of a lonely thing sometimes. I mean, a by yourself thing, unless you're collaborating, which that's fun too. And frustrating at the same time.
Right.
It can be.
Now it's been an issue for us since the youngest moved back home to finish school and everything. It's like there's never a point where anyone's alone in the house.
No offense, Ian. We're not talking bad about you.
I'm just saying, when you're not alone, it's hard to go to focus on anything. There's so much stuff going on around you, and there's always that feeling of they're going to hear this when I'm starting it.
Right.
And by the time I perfect, it's like, I've already heard this song like 500 times. Shut up. It's like, you have to deal with it, dude. This is how it works.
Yeah, just so you know, I never feel that way.
Doesn't matter if you
I
feel
know.
that way. It's that I feel like you feel that way.
Oh,
It's my insecurity. It's not even you. I don't you normally
I
got
know.
sound canceling headphones on and pretend that none of us exist.
I do.
But there's always been someone else there.
She does that when we're on tour too. She puts those headphones on.
I know we're talking to her.
We're talking in the front seat. Kim, what do you think? Crickets.
Looking out the window.
What?
Exactly. Are you guys talking to me?
I like my alone time. I don't get it very often. I have to make it sometimes.
And I know, nowadays, y'all are doing a lot of stuff. Like, I know you're doing the weekly deal at Sharky's and everything like that.
Oh, I haven't been doing that one in a while. I did it for about 6 months.
Yeah.
It was good, though, to keep my bass chops up.
That's what I was saying. I figured it'd be
Yeah.
something that, just to keep
Yeah.
everything moving musically.
And the cover gigs give me the money to support my habit.
Right. That's
Go out and
true.
do all your
That
songs.
habit.
Yeah.
The work gigs make the dream float.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
It helps a lot. So that's something that I'm fortunate that I can do that I can go do cover gigs. I'm actually playing with Tone Salinas and company too. I'm filling in bass with him once or twice a month around town. I start that in March. So,
Nice.
Oh, right on.
yeah, that's cool. I had another group too, but I have too many things going on at once again. So I'm just
It happens. You get overextended and you have to contract, and then eventually
Yes.
you'll get overextended again.
that's what I do. It's been a theme in my life.
It's hard. It's hard to say no and all this stuff. Because it's none of it's not fun.
Right.
So don't have fun with them. Okay.
I know.
Well, I want to
exactly.
play this. That sounds like fun. And then it's like, it's fun, but I'm tired. Like everything else is suffering. It's like we're doing too much stuff. And that happens with us even, where it's just like, we're going to book this show. Yeah, we'll take this. We'll take this. It's been like this balance thing where we're really having to work hard on like, okay, we can't say no to everything or say yes to everything. Because, you end up being like, oh God, we're just doing too much and can't focus.
Yes.
But I just know every time I see you doing stuff, it's like you're always all over the place. And
I do it to myself, but I'm grateful for it, I guess, because I love my life. Absolutely love it.
see, that's the way to do it. Get out there and play and make yourself happy.
Well, yeah, if it's not fun, why do it?
Right.
You have a job for a reason, this should be fun. And I think it's cool that you're able to, parlay your playing with cover bands so you can really, like you said, justify the original stuff, which is cool because at the end of the day, you're keeping up your chops too, like you said. So it's kind of like, all right, cool. It's just practice in the grand scheme of things.
I play
Paid
acoustic
practice.
in my band.
Well, and you play with Billy Wells, so you have to be really good.
You know Billy?
I played in a band with him.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I am thrilled to pieces.
Yeah, I played with him in Sam Navarro and the Lone Star Devils.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. And man, that guy can throw down on anything. You can just call out stuff, and he's like a walking encyclopedia of music.
He's such a creative, too.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's putting out a CD.
I'm really happy to hear that because that guy is.
I got to hear it. So
how's-
it's not out yet, but
Okay, is it
he's
good?
got it.
Is it good?
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, goodness, yeah. Yes.
Good. I'm glad.
Yes. I needed his name. That's why we changed the name. I'm like,
Right. He gives you street cred. I don't care who you are. Like
Exactly.
Billy Wells coming in. Like
exactly.
yeah. And it's legit. You say you play in a band, Billy Wells, you're like, oh, whoa, yeah.
Yes.
It opens doors, man. I don't blame you.
That's right on. So y'all are still in the planning stages of the three
We're,
y'all
we're
doing
out
them?
playing.
But I
But
mean, as far as recording and everything. know you
well,
said
I
you had
have a
some-
couple new songs in the shoot, and I've invited Billy to write with me, and he accepted. So we haven't started that yet. But
Okay.
that's on the agenda for sure. Like I said, he's very creative.
Yes.
And we're going to take some of the cover tunes and Billy-ize them
Yeah.
Nice.
so that when we get to the point of doing shows, we'll probably always do gigs, but we're building up to doing like regional shows.
Yeah.
We'll have some covers that are supporting
Yeah, the originals. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
yes.
good,
So
you
that's
know.
the plan.
Yeah, it's always good to drop it. No band, even stadium bands, drop in covers here and there just to kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, especially if it's like your take on it. So it'd be
Yes.
kind of cool to come up with an interesting
Yeah.
original take on it.
And David Little is loving all of this too, and has been instrumental in this whole thing falling together. He knew Billy, I didn't. I couldn't believe I hadn't met Billy before.
Yeah, because he's
Like,
always
how
he's
have we
always
not
playing.
met before?
Yeah.
Yes, I was living in Santa Fe for, 6 years or so.
Oh,
and
wow, yeah.
He lives in Santa Fe. I'm like, oh, this is weird.
That's almost impossible not to have crossed paths at some place in Santa Fe
Yeah.
because everyone shops the same places. You don't
Well,
have
we
choice.
probably did, but I didn't know.
You're like, who's this long-haired hippie guy in front of me? We should hurry up and buy his Geritol and get out of here.
And it's like, oh my God.
Well, I was listening to the two albums that are on Spotify today, and I have to say, first of all, your voice is just clear as a bell,
Thank you.
but also you kind of have like an edge to it, which I like. How long have you been singing and playing? Like the whole time?
Ever since I've been in bands, I never was in chorus in school, but I had friends in the band that liked to sing too, and we sang harmonies all the time. And in my early bands too, I was into harmony bands. The three, what you were saying earlier, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, stuff like that.
Yeah.
All the big harmonies stuff, So I don't know why some people can sing harmony and some people can't. I didn't practice it. It just exists. you
Yeah.
know? And I sang with my brother too. Like I said, the one that was in the band with me, and it was just a natural harmony.
That's really
I don't know.
cool.
I don't know how that works, but
No, I'm the same way. I have no idea how I do it. And I don't think I
people
couldn't
really
teach
work
anyone.
hard on that.
You know?
You know,
I couldn't teach. I just started hearing it when I was a kid in
Exactly.
songs that I listened to on the radio. And then,
Well, wasn't
yeah,
it Shane who told us that? He's like, if you can play bass, you should be able to do harmonies.
that's what I hear. Yeah.
Yeah, that was his thing. So he's like, you're already, the root note, so you can just kind of sing that. And
Yeah, you build upon that.
none of that's in my mind at all, though. It's just,
Yeah.
it's like I said, there's no memory of those things not being there. They just popped out. I didn't learn to, nobody sat me down and, this
Yeah.
is how you do it. Maybe I should have done some of that, and maybe I still
well,
should.
it still works.
I'd have never guessed it.
I'm impressed. 'Cause,
Right,
like,
yeah.
I think a couple times during practice, I've accidentally hit harmonies. I was so far out of what Kim was singing that it harmonized. But it's
Does she give you the evil eye?
no.
I do.
There's stuff where I
would.
legitimately try. I'm more joking. I legitimately try, and it's like, okay, that hit. Like, that actually worked. And then the next time that chorus comes around, it's like, nope, that was not it. This
That
time.
was
Can't do
100%.
it.
But it's
can't
practice.
recreate
I'm
it.
not doing it live. I'm not going for it. We're just like,
Yeah.
that's rough.
Yeah. Some people just hear it and some people don't. But I also know people who hear things that I wish I could hear what they hear inside their head. Because it has to be pretty amazing.
Right.
If what they can get out onto a recording, maybe like all one person, like let's say Joey Knizer, like all one person just can do everything. But really, like, I want to know what was actually,
You mean the instruments and all?
yeah.
Yeah, like when you're writing a song, that whole, like when you hear it
Yeah.
done, it's like, okay, you just try to get to that.
Because I don't hear that when I write a song at all. Mine are more words, but I wonder if someone writes music, like if they hear if it's ever wrong. Maybe that's why sometimes you don't like for me to change things. You're like, no, I don't like that. I wrote it this way. Maybe that's it. Yeah, I don't have that though. You always provide the music for me, so.
That's not true. Recently, you've been doing your own. But
Oh yeah,
anyway.
I guess a little bit.
Yeah, but every song's about her leaving. So I just want to say there's a bit of a theme going on there. Things okay at the household?
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Sometimes I'll have an idea of what it is, but then I have a difficult time explaining it. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm thinking. I don't know if you listened to the beginning for The Bullet in the Cabin Wall.
Yeah.
That weird, ethereal sound. Trying to describe that.
I can imagine.
Jack was just looking at me saying, what?
Yeah.
I said, and we did it. It's exactly what was in my
Wow.
mind. So we just had to
Right,
think
just
about
come
some
up
things
with-
and talk
Medium,
about
huh?
some things.
Wow.
The verbiage.
That's
to
cool.
Get you there.
That's cool. You
I
can
don't
make it
speak
happen.
drums either. So sometimes, a song, if I'm jamming or something, it won't go off right because I can't tell them exactly what it's supposed to be.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's better. What we want is the boom, tick, tick, boom, tick, boom.
That's me.
Hey, boom, chaka, chaka, boom. Boom, chaka, chaka.
All right. Since Kim missed her cue, I'm going to bring it up. So I know you've been pretty active in using music as a way to help people cope with addiction, things like that, to recover, stuff like that. And I know you're working on setting up, a nonprofit to help with that. Tell us a little bit about that. I think that's great.
The Music to Life people helped me build the program. Do you know about them? Mm-mm. Okay. They're from the Peter, Paul, and Mary. Paul Noel Stuckey. He is the person behind it, and his daughter, and he built this whole business, and it's called Music to Life. And they recruit artists. They have to be accepted into the program, and they completely support you for an entire year and put you through classes to learn how to write those grants, how to get them, where to get them. They help you build your program, take your idea, and actually get it to a place where it's able to be taken to the community so that you're using music to help the community, which is the very goal that is in my mind, but I didn't quite know how to get there. I know Janet Bell.
Yeah.
She and I were at a songwriter thing when Old Quarter was having the songwriter groups meet.
Yeah.
And we were talking and blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, we both went, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that we had such a connection with our adult children suffering with addiction. Unfortunately, her son passed away. I don't know if you know that, from drug addiction. And it's incredibly sad. And I had 2 of my 3 daughters trapped in addiction. The longest one was 13 years worth of that big black hole. And it's really incredibly difficult for the family, the parent, the mom. Oh my gosh, you want to fix it. You try to throw money at it. You send them here to the doctor. You preach till you turn purple. And of course, none of that works. And so I had to go to counseling to learn how to deal with it. Essentially, you have to prepare for your child to die. It's all the steps of grief. So, and then you have other people looking at you thinking, well, if your kid's that stupid to do that to yourself, well, maybe they should die. So those buy the ticket, take the ride. Those kind of things make me insane.
Yeah. No.
So I thought I wanted to change the stigma and help, with those. I mean, I had so many things on my agenda. I wanted to march on Washington's lawn, against Big Pharma, in which that stuff actually started to happen, not because of me, but I mean, they did get in trouble recently.
Yeah,
So,
people are starting to.
so things are starting to change, and you see fentanyl billboards on your way to Houston here. In Cincinnati, it is far worse. That was part of the drama at the time when I was moving here, was all of that was going on. So it was when I talked to Music to Life, I told them that I wanted to give back and give back to the people who saved my daughter's lives. And that was community. When it came down to it, I got to, and everybody did in my daughter's lives, got to the point where you run out of cheeks, you run out of everything, and they're left to living on the street and trying to figure it out, So the good news is they're both healed. Yay.
Good.
But anyway, so the program is called Hope Loves Harmony. And what we do is write songs with usually parents who are struggling the same way that I did. That's the best way that I identify with it. But we will write songs with anyone who's dealing with any kind of issues like that. The addict themselves, too, if they want to write songs like that. Anyway, a place in Galveston was willing to be my community partner, but the grant didn't go through, the last one that I tried for, which was with the Moody folks. But that is just one no. I'm not going to stop trying to get grants. Anybody out there, if you know anybody that has grant money, send them my way.
Definitely.
I have a whole grant already written and ready to go and submitted, budget, everything's all outlined. The program is finished and ready. I have a pilot study that we did, and the songs are actually recorded. And that's what the participant gets at the end, is working through their feelings, working through that grief cycle, and actually coming out with a finished song that's theirs. It's their story.
Yeah.
And yes, and I'm going to need songwriters, by the way, once I get the grant money, to help work with these folks. We've been doing it on Zoom. Of course, all this was going on through COVID, but that really proved to be really ideal. Instead of meeting somewhere and doing it, it was really much better, because it starts out as how we did it in the pilot. It started out as a group, and then it had to narrow down to a one-on-one, because that person's story is important to them, and eventually it gets down to one-on-one.
Yeah,
so I will definitely need more people and more songwriters who would like to be involved. So you're invited.
Awesome. It's a good thing we
Yes.
live in such an awesome songwriting community for that.
So Music to Life, I graduated from the program, but they still offer free office hours once a month. We meet, and I just met with them last month. You can if you want to, blah, blah. And they help with any resources you need, any help, any whatever you want to come there. So I told them, hey, I'm getting ready to get back on this horse and get that grant out again. Mm-hmm. So, we talked about all that kind of stuff at our last meeting. So it's wonderful. They financially supported all the people that were in the program with me at the time. And now we're all friends too, and we all network with each other. What did you do? How did you get this part with the community happening?
Yeah.
So where there were people in Dallas, Houston, it was all Texas artists, Austin, that were in my group with me that got selected at the same time that I did. So it's amazing. It's amazing. Anyway, they've got all kind of, mine just happened to be about addiction. They have them about, climate control. They have immigration, speaking a different language in America, and they build programs around all of these social issues, whatever it may be, whatever the person can bring to those folks and let them know my community needs help with this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really incredible.
That's really neat.
It's super cool. It's
Yeah.
a great idea just because, a big part of therapy is just getting everything out, working through it, talking about it.
What better way to do it than with music?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I
Writing a
think
song.
it has been my therapy this whole time in my life as well.
Oh, true.
Oh, Kim's shaking her head. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it really is.
Oh, yeah.
Because, there's times, like I say, dealing with that, I have brother, nephew, various people in my life have died either due to purposely overdosing or overdose period.
It's hard to deal with those things. It's out of your control.
Yeah, and it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with, especially when you see someone, who just was doing fine and then just something hits. And it's just,
Right. My youngest daughter, by the way, she is a total community goddess. She has opened her heart and her resources and everything to help people who were in the shoes she was in. And that's what her whole life is about giving back. She posts about, I have a girl who needs a bed. Of course, these girls have run out of every single thing. And she knows that because she was that girl.
Yeah.
Right.
And so she gets it together and helps these people and mentors them to get back.
That's awesome.
I know, it's amazing.
And I know some of the best advocates we've found, just through my brother's travel stuff, are normally the addicts who are able to replace their drug addiction with like an addiction of working to help other people and just kind of staying focused on that. Because you have that in your personality that you get overly, you say addicted to it, but it's like you get overly attached. You like to be, so it's like, okay, now I'm going to help people in it. Because I mean, so many programs
it's
went
very
through.
healing for her.
Yeah.
Still continuing, to heal. She sends me her coins every year. I have a bracelet that they fit in.
Oh, wow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. 8 years.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah. And I got a new grandson out of the deal.
Aw.
That's a win-win situation.
Yes. Anyway, so I got to get on the ball with that. Another really good news for me is I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger on retirement because I'm going to be 65 in June and I'm eligible. That doesn't mean I'm ready or it doesn't mean I'm financially stable. But I just don't want to work 40 hours anymore and I'll get the benefits, blah, blah, but not everything I need. I'll still work part-time, but this will free me up to work my program and get after that grant and get all these things going, and that was a whole lot of Music to Life's purpose, was to help support the artist because gigs are not all the time and things like COVID happen and it's another way to get income without having to punch that clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, see, I think you talked about retirement, but I didn't, I never would have paid you for 65. You're so high energy.
No, not even
you're
close.
always like, well, you are. And you're always like, I'm going here, I'm playing here, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
There's times just seeing you on social media, it's like I just read Cheryl's timeline. I'm tired.
Right. I'm out of breath for her.
I need to stay home, man.
Billy told me one day, he said, I need to let you know something. Oh, he's going to hear this. He said, I can only focus on one thing at a time. And we were talking about that. He said, I'm not ignoring you. I just instant gratification.
Yeah.
Whatever. I said, oh, good Lord, I'm one of those people that have 5 balls. I got 1 in each hand, 3 in the air. I said, I'm probably talking to 2 other people while I'm talking to you.
Right. That's, I can relate. That's the ADD thing where it's like, okay, I got to be doing 500 things or I'm freaking out. Like if I just have nothing going on, I start like getting nervous.
Right.
I'm glad I'm not alone.
No, it's like I'm forgetting something. Something's wrong. Like this, I can't just sit still. This is wrong. Like there's something being neglected. All right. And then it's, say yes to 5 things. And then it's like, oh God, now I'm doing 5 different things.
Right.
Yep.
But it's been a good life so far.
There you go.
The overextending myself.
I have to tell you, one of the very first things that all of the artists learned in the course with Music to Life was your art is not free.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that because how many times have you given it away? I've done it. I can't count how many times, but that's the whole point of setting up this program and giving us this whole educational experience. We were in the class for a year. We had projects to do. It was really cool. But the first thing that driving into our minds was your art is not free. So
well, I think that's something that was changed due to COVID too. Is like prior to COVID, like venue could just throw out a call for artists and they'd have 20, 30 hits. Then COVID happens. A lot of bands didn't make it through the pandemic. Like they just broke up or people moved on with their life. People realized they liked being at home. And then so venues started actually having to pay us for what we're worth. And it's been kind of nice. Like it seems like we're getting to the point where at least venues are like, no, we're not going to rely on, giving you a bar tab. We'll actually give you money. Like we'll pay you for your time. And it's no longer like, oh, you're just paying for exposure. You can't eat off exposure. And I'm a big boy. That'd be a lot of exposure you get to pay me for.
Well, I also feel even though, everything's got more expensive, people are more willing to pay like reasonable covers now and things like that. I think everyone got home so deprived of any of this. People who love music, like, yeah, whatever, I'll do.
Right.
It used to be like, it's $10 for 3 local wings. I was like, wow,
that's a good deal. $10. I get to see them in person. I'll be there.
Like, why not 5? Let's do you for 5. It used to be 7.
Yes.
Why 10? And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then now people are like, 10, 15, 20. It's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think not having an option for live music for a year or two really allowed people to realize, well, it's kind of important. I should probably, budget for that a little bit. It's kind of worked out well.
It's such a different feeling to be in there with it live. I don't know if it's the vibration theory or what it is, but the live thing just cuts through everything.
Yeah, because you're all a part of it. It is like a communal moment, like, without, when you record, you're just kind of putting it out there and hoping somebody there, someone's hearing it.
Right.
And you get to look at them. And you
immediate reaction to it.
Yeah.
That's what we do this for.
Especially since we're at the point where we're still playing, smaller venues and stuff to where you actually have that, you can talk to people in the first row and you can actually spend time like throughout it having like this experience together.
True.
Because that was kind of one of the things, we were having a discussion about that a while back. Like you look at all these big bands playing like these giant 10,000 people at these festivals and stuff. And it's like, it's almost like playing to no one because you'll see the bands like all interacting with each other because they can't do anything. Everyone's so far away.
Right.
By the time you get to the front of the stage and the barricades, like the closest human to you is like 35, 40 yards away. And you can't really go like, hey, are you having fun? It's like, no, it's all right. We're just up here together. We're doing what we do. We're all facing each other on stage and jumping around. But like, there's not very little of we can connect. So I'm really always happy that we're in a place where we can connect with everyone in the room. And it makes it where it's like you walk out and you're like, man, that was really special.
Yeah.
I mean, so many times going to shows as a kid where it was like that. And, like the band, like you were in it together, that's the beauty.
So it makes music magical.
Well, on that note, do you have anything else you want to tell us about, Cheryl? Or?
What songs did we pick? I was just going to say something about those if I knew what they were.
I don't know. We hadn't really made a decision yet. I do really like The Bullet in the Cabin Wall is beautiful. The end of it, I really love what we did at the end of it, which is like tag the little story at the end of it.
Yeah, that's a true story. You want me to talk about that?
That would be really cool if you want to tell us about that.
I'll talk about The Bullet in the Cabin Wall.
Right.
The album cover, I don't know if you noticed, it's a pencil drawing. My uncle drew that of the actual home place that all of my family from, in I guess, mid-1800s were born there and died there. That's what you did then. You were laid out in the home. My great-great-great-grandfather hauled the logs off the mountain with the mule team and built that place that's on the cover.
Wow.
So he was murdered in a mountain feud. Not much different than the Hatfield and McCoys.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, they were very remote there with all the mountains and things. There weren't many ways out of there. It's kind of secluded. I mean, you can get out, but most of the time people stayed in unless there was a reason to get out. So they were fighting over the whiskey. There were the Howards. The Howards were selling it bootleg. They were making the whiskey and put it in the barrels and selling the whiskey bootleg. Well, my grandfather's father-in-law was a Turner, so this is the Turner-Howard feud. And he was the judge in town, and they insisted that the whiskey be taxed. So it was all about whether and there weren't really things, they couldn't enforce things as well as they do now.
Right.
So they were writing to the governor of the state, come down here and get the blah, blah, this is going on. So that's what started the whole thing. So that judge actually took those barrels, and you're hearing the song about smashing them, and that really happened. He smashed the barrels, and the streets were dirt at the time, and busted them all in downtown Harlan down there, and the whiskey just went pouring down in the thing. Anyway, a little revenge needed to happen after. Wow. There were other murders, too, besides this. There were other. I just focused on this one because it affected my personal family. Anyway, some fellas ambushed him. He was almost home, and he was walking with another fella, and they ambushed him and murdered my grandfather over the whiskey business. And there really was a bullet hole in the cabin wall. And when we were kids, let's go see the bullet hole. So we all knew this story, but I actually went and researched every detail of it and what happened. And there really wasn't anybody that was right or wrong, but what a time
fighting
period
over
to
liquor.
live in.
Golly.
Yeah,
Wow.
that stuff happens.
Man, I don't have cool stuff like that in my family.
Isn't that something?
Make somewhere.
Golly.
Yeah, so I thought I'll just I'd make that the title track.
That's a great one.
Yeah. And so that's The Bullet in the Cabin Wall. Yeah.
I like that one a lot.
So every word in that is true. Usually I tell lies a lot.
Not songwriters. They don't do that.
That one's true. I researched the heck out of it to make sure I didn't put any false things in there.
That's really cool.
And Wilcie Howard did eventually hang, though, but in another state. But, yeah, they didn't even get in trouble for that.
Oh, wow.
Nope. Yep.
Dang.
No, he did eventually get in trouble, though. It was crazy. I can't imagine living in those times when you just...
What year
got
was
your
it?
neighbors.
1850?
I don't remember.
1800s, though, right?
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. No, not a time when we would have...
1889, I think it
Oh,
was.
my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, that seems so far away. Man.
So, and that
That's a whole
album,
other
the whole
country.
album is a tribute to my roots in Appalachia. And that's not necessarily every flavor that I have. I just wanted to have a tribute to my family with that one. So, who knows? I might do a blues album next. I got all kind of flavors.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming and talk with us.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having
it.
me.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Your
Oh, no problem.
podcast is so cool.
Well, thanks.
We're working on trying to talk to everybody at some point.
That's the plan.
So now we're chipping away at it person by person. Thank you for being the first person to reach out and be like, hey, you said you would.
I heard the invite. Thank you.
All right.
So our-
Sam wrote it. I just said it.
and then we got more coming up. We had a couple other people hit us up. So
Yep.
we'll be adding them as well.
Awesome.
Just trying
Do you have any shows coming up?
I'm playing the Hitchcock Post on April 1st, April Fool's Day. That'll be the whole band. I'm playing at Louis' Bait Camp.
Oh, Louis Big Camp. Hell yeah.
We're going to do that as a trio,
Okay.
March 31st.
Okay.
Nice.
And then we're doing quite a few shows at Cooter Brown's Country Club in Brazoria. We're doing that once a month, and those are booked till the end of the year.
Heck yeah.
Yay. Yeah, that's nice.
Well, all right. Again, thank you very much for coming, Cheryl. See you soon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Man, we want to thank you all for listening to another episode of Music in the Minor League. As always, if you like what you heard, please share the podcast with a friend. It's the best way for us to reach new listeners. If you enjoyed Cheryl, go check out her band. It'll be all over town. You heard the dates at the end. It's good stuff. You need to check it out. If you're interested in being on the podcast, don't be shy. Be like Cheryl. Hit us up. Let us know. We'd love to have you. Right now, we're going to leave you with the song that she described at the end, Bullet in the Cabin Wall, which is also the name of her newest album. Be sure to check that out. Give it a listen. And if you like it, go pick it up where you buy music. Have a good one, y'all.
John built his cabin at the holler's mouth. Times were rough in Kentucky South. There was no law, no rules way back then. Those hills were run by the county clans. We'll see Howard made Rogue Applejack. He stood accused with no proof or fact. The judge asked all the barrels in the streets of town. Whiskey soaked down through the earth and ground. 100 miles away from the sound of any train, both sides retaliate. Men unafraid, willing to kill for control of the whiskey trade. Willsie sent word for folks to leave town. He's gonna burn the whole place down. John chose to ride on a vengeance train. Turner, Law and Order gang. Willsie's men rode to the Cawood cabin. They laid in wait like cold assassins. They ambushed John, used deadly guns. Not one of them hung for the things they done. 100 miles away from the sound of any train, both sides retaliate. Men unafraid, willing to kill for control of the whiskey trade. Willing to kill for control. Tales of you